And go ahead and introduce yourself, Lynette.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynette Terrell, and I am a senior procurement specialist with the Department of Procurement Services, and I work in the construction unit. I will be going over the construction contracting overview, and we'll start with our programs and bid initiatives. We have programs for the Small Business Initiatives for Construction, which are also known as SBI. We have the Midsize Business Initiative for Construction, also known as MBI projects. We'll also go over the Equal Employment Opportunity, the EEO, and Apprentice Utilization Bid Preference. Now, the Small Business Initiative for Construction, the program is designed to encourage small businesses to participate in city-funded construction projects under $3 million in total cost. The key points is that the small local businesses are exclusive bidders. You must be a part of the 6-county region, which those counties include Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will counties. There are 2 tiers to the Small Business Initiative, and they're broken down into SBI 1 and SBI 2. SBI 1 includes project costs less than $3 million, and they actually meet the SBA size standards. SBI 2, in which a project cost is less than $2 million, the company would have to be half of the SBA size standards. The next initiative would be the Midsize Business Initiative for Construction Projects. The goal for the MBI program, it is designed to increase small and mid-sized businesses participation in city-funded construction projects between $3 million and $10 million in total cost. The key points for the MBI program is that they're geared toward the small and mid-sized local businesses, and they are the exclusive bidders. The estimated project cost for the MBI program would be between $3 million and $10 million. The eligible bidder size limitation is 1 1/2 times the SBA size standard. The Equal Employment Opportunity EEO Bid Initiative. For this program, the bid initiative is available on contracts for construction projects valued at $100,000 or more and is designed to increase the utilization of minority and women journey worker apprentices and laborers. The key points for the initiative: any bidder proposing to utilize minority and/or women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers on a contract for a construction project may apply for this initiative. The bidder must show its commitment to utilize minority and female workers in any of the 3 categories by completing the canvassing formula in the bid. We also have the Apprentice Utilization Bid Incentive. This program is designed as an incentive for city prime contractors to utilize apprentices for construction projects. The key points for this initiative: apprentice means any person who is 1, sponsored into an apprenticeship training program by a contractor that is authorized by a union to sponsor apprentices, and 2, enrolled in or has graduated from a construction technology training program administered by the City Colleges of Chicago, or is a graduate of a high school operated by the Chicago Public Schools. The contracts are for $100,000 or more, and the initiative is for future contracts. Now, this is a tiered initiative. The first being the 5 to 10% work performed by apprentice results in 1/2% bid incentive. And the second tier is 11 to 15% project area subcontractor work results in 1% bid initiative. Excuse me, incentive. My apologies. Now we will hand over to Michael Judd at this time to go over the introduction to job order contracting.
Hello, thank you. Oh, you know what? I am sorry, I got to get this open. Just give me 1 second, please.
Sure, not a problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. If you can maximize the screen to presentation mode, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. So as City of Chicago had alluded to, my name is Michael Judd. I am the City of Chicago representative for job order contracting. I work with the Gordian Group, and we're going to go over the introduction to JOC and how you as a small business, or if you're a contractor looking to get into JOC, how you can go about doing that. So the agenda that we're going to go over today is pretty much 5 key items, which is the overview of what job order contracting is, then walking through what the job order contracting process looks like, how that procurement process looks like all the way through construction, the benefits to JOC to both prime contractors and subcontractors, and then bidding as a prime contractor. We're not going to go over every single step in the bid process, but some key indicators like adjustment factors that you should look for, and kind of how that ties into the job order contracting overall, and then go over some review and key points or open discussion as mentioned earlier today. So just a brief history and overview of JOC. In the mid 1980s, the federal government started to utilize JOC, but really we got established for non-federal agencies, specifically in Chicago, in the 1990s. From there and through growth over the last 20 plus years, we're over 2,000 job order contracts in the country with close to 2 billion of construction ordered through JOC annually. So it has definitely grown and expanded to a huge program, especially for the city of Chicago. And then some just awards that JOC has gotten. In 2005, we received the NIGP award for Best of the Best in Miami. And locally in 2015, Cook County received the NICO award for their use of job order contracting. So just a couple of key tips that we like to touch on, but really diving into it. What is JOC? What is job order contracting? You can see at the top, the definition is that JOCs are firm fixed pricing that's competitively bid, indefinite quantity delivery method designed to produce a large number of multi-traded repair and rehab projects, as well as minor new construction projects quickly. So we understand that that is really a handful definition. So we like to break it down into 3 components. The first is that job order contracts are firm and fixed pricing. What does that mean? That means that we use the construction task catalog or the CTC that I'll reference throughout this presentation of pre-priced work tasks. So once you get a job order contract, or when you bid on one, you get a entire book of pre-priced work tasks that you bid your adjustment factor on, which leads me to the competitive bid aspect. All bidders submit a set of adjustment factors to those pre-priced fixed prices in the construction task catalog. That is pretty much the whole point of JOC. It's a faster procurement method for a city. And then finally, it's an indefinite quantity contract. So there are no specific projects identified at the time of bidding, contrary to a design build bid or a traditional bid where the scope is provided at the very beginning. Depending on the department that uses JOC, they provide a very brief scope. You know, aviation work is going to be different than water work. So they provide that scope, but pretty much the scope of work that you're bidding on is in the construction task catalog. So there's no projects identified at the time of bidding, but the indefinite quantity comes in where the contract is set for a fixed term. Typically we see about a 3-year base term. So you can get a job contract for 3 years, have as many projects that the department assigns to you, up to a maximum dollar value. And we'll go over all that as we go through this presentation. So just to point out some of the other delivery methods that the city utilizes, other than JOC, you have in-house trades inside the departments or bureaus. As I mentioned before, you have traditional bid, jobs, term agreements, and then the city utilizes job order contracting. The important piece is that JOC doesn't replace any procurement method in the city. It's just another tool, and quite frankly, lately an important tool for the city to accomplish work, especially quickly. So what is the JOC process? With a traditional bid, you might get a scope of work and you're bidding on it for a very long time. In JOC, it's pretty much as simple as this 5-step process to get through the beginning stages of a job, get through a blanket release, which gives you an NTP or notice to proceed to start the construction, and then get the construction done on the back end. So starting with number 1, the joint scope meeting. This is assuming that you have a job order contract with the city. The department will reach out to your company and say, we have a project that we need you to do. Let's go out on site to go to a joint scope walk. After that, since you already have a contract, they issue you a request for proposal for that job so that you, through the CTC development and our system base, which I'll get to in a little bit, called eGordian, that would go to number 3, which is you developing your proposal for that specific job order based on the joint scope meeting and the scope of work. After you submit your initial proposal to the department, that proposal review, making sure that all the scope items are accounted for, back and forth, means and methods of work. Once you and the department come up with a solid fixed proposal, then they issue you the job order and you start construction. Normally this process, like I said, traditional bid may take over a year. This process is a month or 2 to go through the scope of work, through proposal development, and issuing a job order. So it's a very streamlined process in procurement. With that, it's also a highly performance-based contract too, right? So as I said before, you have an indefinite quantity contract with a maximum potential dollar value of, let's say, just off $3 million. You can get as much work as possible up to $3 million. But in these contracts, there's a minimum value too, that once the department hits that minimum value, usually it's about $25,000 of volume of job. Future work is dependent on your performance as a contractor. And these are some of the items that performance is tracked, is the responsiveness of you as a contractor, pretty much through the development phase and also in construction, because obviously it's a construction related contract, specifically in scope definition and timely and accurate price proposals in the eGordian system. And then obviously the construction phase, right? I mentioned it's a construction contract, so you need to have timely startups, effective work management and work crews to make sure that you can keep up with the work they're assigning you. Because like I said, you can get multiple jobs at once because it's an indefinite quantity contract. And ensuring that the project is completed based on the scope of work. It's also developing a partnership with the owner, with the department, and gives you a better idea of how work in Chicago is. And it also depends on, and we'll get to this later, this is a separate segment, but your adjustment factor. You need to have a separate, reliable adjustment factor for you to continue work and have quality staff. So these are the measurable standards that I referenced in the previous slide. You can see these several bullet points. It's pretty much, you need to have quality price proposals on each and every job. You need to have timely price proposals, right? This procurement method is meant to be a couple months. It's not, or less. It's not supposed to be over a few months. It's not supposed to be a year. Job order contracting is very expedited, so they need to be timely. The construction needs to be timely. There's budgets that the city has to utilize per year. So when they give you a job project, that typically means they need to get the work done as soon as you possibly can. So it needs to be timely construction based on the schedule you provide. Quality construction, right? Even though you need to get the job done quick, it still needs to be quality. This is the city of Chicago, so it needs to be a nice quality construction project that you put together. And then a big part of the city's requirements is the achievement of the M and WBE goals. You as a firm need to meet or exceed the compliance goals that are set forth in the contract documents. And then finally, just achievement of self-performance, right? You get this contract, you want to self-perform very well, and you have your own goals that are set forth in the contract, and you want to hit that maximum value term so that you can continue work with the city. So it's also self-performance in this contract as well. So what are some of the benefits to job order contracting? I've touched on some already, but for a prime contractor, job can be very profitable. As I mentioned, there's a minimum value that the department has to meet. Otherwise, they don't have to utilize you as a prime. So profit is a function of volume, right? Volume is driven by that performance. It is a performance-related contract. So what JOC does is if you continue to perform, the departments have work that they need to get done. So JOC provides a steady flow of work. You don't have to go chasing projects every time that a traditional bid is going out on the street. It also develops a long-term relationship with the city, right? You don't want to have, you want to build towards a non-adversarial relationship and develop that partnership with the city of Chicago. And like I mentioned in the performance-related standards, it's professionally rewarding. You have different types of projects. You can build bonding capacity, and it gives you the ability to work with the city and provide input on scopes of work and how your means and methods are going to construct what the city needs to do for its constituents. Some of the subcontractor benefits, obviously no projects, as I mentioned, are identified at the time of bidding. So that works to the subcontractor's advantage. The prime contractor can't staff up sometimes when they get 10, 15, 20 projects at a time. They're going to have to subcontract their work out. So that leads to increased subcontracting opportunities. And obviously because of that, it provides a simplified procurement process for you, for the prime contractor and the city. It gives the prime contractor the ability to perform multiple projects. And as I mentioned earlier, they have to hit, prime contractors do, they have to hit M and WBE compliance goals. So they have to subcontract some of that work out to vendors that are compliant. So that is definitely positives of being a subcontractor with a prime on a job order contracting program. So as a sub, you might be thinking, how do I get into JOC then, right? If the prime contractor owns the JOC contract, what do I do? Well, you want to contact them. You want to look up on each department agency who has JOC contracts, and I'll show you that towards the end. You want to look up what departments have it and what contractors are on there. And then once you go back and forth and they do contact you and you go on a job site, they can ask you for a variety of methods for providing a quote to them, right? So, you know, we've seen contractors provide lump sum quotes to prime contractors. You as a subcontractor can provide a lump sum quote with a material breakdown. Maybe the owner's asking for that, or if the contractor wants to get this granular, you know, they can ask you, provide a lump sum quote with a material breakdown and CSI numbers from the CTC. And we'll get into how the CTC looks like and what that does. But no matter what they do or how they ask for a quote from a subcontractor, subcontractors are not bound to those prices in the CTC, because as a subcontractor, you don't have that contract with the department. You have the contract with the prime contractor. So you're not bound to the prime contractor's cost with the city. So that's an important piece, right? You're not, you don't get bound to what is in the book. You are market and you provide prices to the prime. As these contracts are advertised throughout the city, even though a subcontractor is not bound to the prices in the CTC, you can still download the bid documents and look at what is in that CTC. So you have an idea of what is coming out of that department in case the prime does want to reach out to you and get some work. It's public information, so you can go and download it and save a file for yourself. So at the end of the day, out of all of this, out of the prime contractors and subcontractor responsibilities, it's a performance-based contracting system that requires high quality construction. So then as a prime, you might be thinking, okay, JOC seems like a very good procurement method to go, and I want to get a JOC contract. How do I do that? Well, there's two parts to this, and you can see it here, that the first part is bidding on the actual job order contracting contract, right? Like I mentioned, JOC is an indefinite contract with a minimum and maximum value term over the course of whatever yearly term or monthly that the city provides. So let's just say the department comes out with a 3-year contract for $10 million worth of volume, right? You can get either 5 projects that equals that 10 million, or you can get 100 projects. It really depends on the department and how they want to procure that work. But you see those terms at the very beginning. So that's when the owner advertises the job order contract out to the street. That's when you, as the contractor, would download the bid documents from procurement, review them and submit them. And then the owner awards that umbrella JOC contract to you as a prime contractor, depending obviously if you've won the bid or not and if you've met all the requirements. That is when part 2 happens, where you start getting work from the owner. As I mentioned, you can see project A, B, and C. You might have several projects at one time. That's where the subcontracting opportunities happen. So it's really a 2-step process. So we'll walk through, because part 2 is pretty general in nature, we'll walk through part 1 where you can see what are some of the preliminary steps that you'll want to take and what you'll want to look out for when looking at a JOC contract and understanding more in depth detail what a JOC contract is. So when you do decide to pull a JOC contract from procurement to take a look and see if you want to bid or see some of the history or the scope in the actual contract itself, you'll pull up either 4 or 5 PDF books. Book 1 would be the instructions to the bidders and the execution documents, pretty much how you do this, right? What you need to put together. There's a checklist in there that you'll see. How do you pretty much put it together? That's in book 1. Book 2 is the general conditions and the special conditions in job order contracting. These are the terms that you will be expected to meet with not only the department, but the city of Chicago. So these are pretty much the rules of job order contracting. Book 3 is the construction task catalog. That's really where we're going to dive into today. That is the book of pre-priced tasks that you can pull in a proposal once you have a JOC contract. And that's what you'll want to review when you do bid on a JOC contract, because those prices do not change. And book 4 are the technical specifications that tie into book 3. So you'll have a line in the CTC. You'll want to see what technical specs are a part of that. Those are provided in another book in book 4, and you can go through the table of contents to find exactly where you need to go. And then this does happen on occurrence, but book 5 pretty much are the client specifications if they want a certain thing done a certain way based on their department. And there's other stipulations or funding strips or things like that that they may have to tie back to specifications too. But typically, in the most part, it's books 1 through 4. So as I mentioned, diving into the CTC, it's typically a link in e-procurement that you can download from the website and you can take a look at all of it. But as I mentioned a couple times, it's a whole book or catalog of pre-priced construction tasks, right? So it's organized by CSI master format, and it includes local labor, equipment, and material costs. And all this is illustrated up in the front in the first 6 pages. You'll see that when you do download this. But for today, like I said, this is just a general view of what the CTC is. And it's customized for that department's tasks and standards, right? As I mentioned before, aviation is going to look different than water management. So you'll definitely want to see those changes when you do start looking into the CTCs. And prices in the CTCs, since you're bidding on this, they're fixed for the entire duration of the contract, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, they're fixed. They don't increase, right? One increases is your factor, and I'll get into your factor in a little bit. When you bid off the CTC, these are pretty much the 4 steps that you'll want to consider, right? You'll want to analyze the CTC and specifications to see if it's in your wheelhouse or what, in general, what kind of work is going to be assigned in that specific department. You'll want to make sure you review it for its completeness and clarity. right? You want to make sure you understand what's in that CTC because you're going to be bound to those prices. And you want to review those CTC prices against some of the direct costs that you've had on previous projects for accomplishing whatever work that might come your way, right? So we'll get into how you can build that and review that, but it's important to note that the prices, because it's a competitive bid, it does not include any subcontractor or prime contractor overhead and profit, and that's in an adjustment factor. So it really depends on department use of the job contract and your self-performance and how much you're going to self-perform the work compared to what actually is in the terms of the contract. So step 2 would be, okay, overhead and profit don't include this, so I have to figure that out and determine what those overhead costs and profit expectations will be based on bonding or insurance, main staffing, overhead. You know, the question you want to ask is, how much will it cost to employ the required staff necessary to have a successful job program with that department? So once you've answered that and figured some of those out, then step 3 would be to bid pretty much 2 factors. It would be normal working hours and other than normal working hours. So pretty much normal time versus overtime. You need to have those prices out based on a project that you've had in the past and quoted in the CTC. Right, so these 2 factors, normal hours and other than normal hours, and you can see an image on the right that kind of shows what that might look like. You need to apply those to all the work tasks in the CTC, and it must cover direct costs, overhead, and profit. It shouldn't exclude any tasks because, like I said, you're bound to these prices in the CTC. And then step 4 would obviously be specifying equal employment opportunity commitments and determining at the end what's called an award criteria figure. And like I said, book 1 will give you all the instructions of how to fill that out, but that bid form will show you that calculation of that bid form and show you at the end of the day, after you've gotten comfortable with what factors you have, what that award criteria figure is, and that's what you would bid on the contract. So this is kind of like the method and the preferred method that you go through as a prime contractor to analyze the price in the CTC versus your costs, right? So for example, you want to select a comparable project from your files, right? If you're a contractor that typically works on plumbing projects or water projects, and you see that the Department of Water comes out with a job contract for bid, that would be a perfect example of pulling a few projects out that you can look at and say, okay, I'd like to compare the CTC prices with what the owner paid me based on that project. So for example, the project you selected paid you $82,323. So then you start out and saying, okay, I'm going to take that price and analyze that price based on what was paid to me and build a price proposal from the construction task catalog based on what is in the book at that time, which is a 1.00, no adjustment, right? You just want to see what the prices are and you want to build against that. So then when you do that, you come out to a price from the CTC of $75,746. So right there, you're saying, okay, the CTC is not paying me as much as what I got on this job. And this 82,000 is where I was comfortable, made, you know, a good amount of profit without killing the owner and paying my staff. So what happens? So from there, you want to calculate that adjustment. You want to calculate the adjustment it would take to get you from 75,000 to 82,000. So if you were satisfied with that 82,000, like I said, it covers every direct cost, overhead, and profit. Then you would divide that number by the CTC number, and that would be an adjustment factor of 1.08, because that would get you from that 75,000, mark it up 8%, that would get you to 82,323. So then let's just say that was normal working hours. You would apply that 8% adjustment on a CTC, and that would be your adjustment factor on each and every line item in the CTC. Now, you don't want to do that on one job and say, okay, that's it, that's my adjustment factor. You want to do it on several, right? Because you want to, there's going to be different averages of projects. You're going to have larger projects, you're going to have smaller projects. you have multiple at the same time. So you want to do a couple projects, a few, to see where those adjustment factors come out at, depending on what line items you use and where it gets you. And then that would calculate out to your award criteria figure. So like I said, this is just an example, but you definitely want to do this compared to your projects, no matter what department or what scope of work that you're seeing in the contract. You want to do it on a few so that you feel comfortable with that adjustment factor tied to all the costs in the construction task catalog. So then this is just a little screenshot of an example of how you can do this, of how you can build a proposal. This is just in Excel, right? So you can just separate it out into columns. You can drop in the CSI numbers and descriptions, and what you'll see there is that you'll see kind of the unit of measures and the quantities, tie it all together, add it up, and you'll see column G where it says line total. That's what you'll get in the CTC once you go through it and pick your selected line item. So that's probably the best location to do it is in Excel, but there's other platforms and different engines that you can use as a contractor to get your adjustment factor there as well. So just tips for bidding on one of these contracts successfully as a jock. You want to bid it correctly, right? So the first thing is to anticipate the type of work that department's going to give you based on that contract. Like I mentioned a few times now, Department of Aviation is going to be different than Department of Transportation and Water Management and Housing. So it's going to depend on that kind of contract that comes out. You want to make sure you're bidding it correctly and that fits in your wheelhouse of work. At the pre-bid meeting, there's always going to be a pre-bid meeting for jock contracts and every contract. There are slides that detail the general type of work used under that contract. That's a good indicator of what kind of work will be used. Like I said, we can't identify future projects, but we can give you an idea of what that jock contract is going to be out of that department. That way, you need to analyze the prices from the CTC versus your costs on previous projects. Run sample projects in Excel or any other platform or engine that you're comfortable with. And then calculate and determine your factors required to adjust the prices in the CTC to cover your direct costs, overhead costs, and profit. That's pretty much the standard timeline of what you want to do to make sure that you're bidding on one of these contracts correctly. And then obviously you want to staff correctly. There's multiple requirements. There's a potential to have multiple projects at one time. You want to make sure that you're staffed correctly. And you need to make sure that you understand that the big factors and the quality of staff affect whether or not you can meet those performance standards that I indicated earlier in this presentation. So whether you're a prime contractor or a subcontractor, you want to get involved in the jock program. It's one of the procurement methods that you can join on, whether you're a subcontractor to a prime or look for jock contract opportunities in the city. You want to analyze the jock programs, especially if you're in Chicago. We're doing a Chicago presentation. You want to analyze who uses jock in Chicago, and I'll give you a list of that, I believe, on the next slide. But you also, in the midst of doing that, want to identify the programs that relates to your work. For primes, you want to analyze the prices in the CTC and develop accurate adjustment factors. And then for subs, you want to establish that relationship, right? The construction is relationship based. So you really want to establish that relationship with the prime and perform very well as far as timely and quality construction to ensure that you're continuing to get more work from the prime contractor as well. So some key points with job order contracting: it's an established, streamlined procurement method used by the city through these 5 steps: joint scope meeting, requesting your proposal afterwards, developing your proposal, submitting it to the city for review, and then giving you a notice to proceed to start construction and get it completed in a timely and quality fashion. It has benefits for all parties, right? It gives the owner the ability to get work done quick. It gives the prime contractors ability to meet that maximum value in the contract. And there's subcontracting opportunities that are mandated in the contract. It's a performance-based system that determines the amount of work. As soon as they hit the minimum value in the contract, they don't have to assign work anymore. So it's performance-based. And for subcontractors, you just want to be aware of some of the methods that prime contractors will ask you to submit a quote on and be ready to perform. So these are some of the departments in Chicago that have a job order contracting program. This is being recorded, so you will have the ability to go look at this afterwards on YouTube. You have Department of Assets, Information and Services that has 2 bureaus. And then, as I mentioned before, we have aviation, water management, housing, transportation, and emergency management and communications. That is rebranding to Public Safety Administration, though. That's a key point. Here are some of the other Chicagoland area jocks. If you want to take a look at these, this is just for your informational purposes. I'm not going to get into any of these agencies because this is a City of Chicago presentation. There are other procedures and rules and things like that that you'll want to look at, but these are just some of the other agencies in case you want to take a look. It's beneficial to provide to you. So to find more information on job order contracting or to find out about current advertisements or opportunities on all the City of Chicago contracts, as Jackie mentioned earlier, you want to sign up for those DPS alerts. Those are huge. We get them constantly. And they're not only for job order contracting, but they're for every project that comes out of Chicago or contract. So you want to sign up for those DPS alerts, Department of Procurement Services. You want to go to that website, and then under the bid proposal information, click on the link for current bids and requests for proposal, and you'll see everything current on the street as it is today. Also, you can check the newspaper, the Chicago Tribune. They always post it in that publication as well. So here's some key contact information. With the City of Chicago contracting process, the Deputy Procurement Officer is Byron Whitaker. Freeman Banks is my senior account manager. He works with the Gordian team. And my name, again, is Michael Judd, and I'm the account manager for Gordian. I work primarily with the City of Chicago. And that'll wrap up my piece of the presentation.
All righty. And if there is anyone who would like to ask a question, we are using the Q&A panel for this session today. So if you would like to ask a question, go ahead and put your question in the Q&A panel. That's at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Type it in, press the enter key, and we will get that. As always, I am going to thank our guests for giving the awesome presentation. We start with the Department of Procurement Services, Lynette Terrell. I'm sorry. And then with Michael Judd from the Gordian Group, who primarily works with the City of Chicago. So if you all have any questions, Rodney is ready for the questions. If not, I will say thank you. I'm not getting anything, guys, so that must mean you did an awesome job. They understand because there were a few folks on here, and they seem not to have any questions. So if Michael, if you want to add anything that you didn't add before, if you have any last parting comments to them, I'm gonna give you that extra little time. If you have anything you would like to reiterate, or you just to give them a chance to type if they're going to do so. If not, I am going to let them go.
No, I'm very good. Thank you for giving Gordian the opportunity to present. And if there's any questions, feel free to contact us at any time.
All right. And as Rodney put out to you, you can find these PowerPoint presentations at www.chicago.gov/DPS events. And if you want to see a copy of this tape, it will be up on Friday, but you must go to www.youtube.com/Chicago DPS, and then you will type in the title of this particular workshop. Building Chicago. I'm not sure the entire the total title myself, but you can go find that where you find the PowerPoints. It'll give you the name, copy that name, paste it into the search bar, and all of the archive copies of this particular workshop and the ones in the past will fall down. You can see some of the questions that folks asked in the other presentations. If you don't have a question on the top of your head right now, you may have questions later. You might want to see a couple of archives and fast forward to the end and see the questions that they might have asked. Or, like Michael said, you can email him and he will be more than glad to answer the question for you. Without further ado, I do thank the participants for participating in today's workshop. We always say stay safe, stay well, wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask or not, whichever one you choose to do, get vaccinated or not, whichever one you choose to do. And hopefully we will be able to see you sometime soon at City Hall. Thanks so much and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you, Lynette, and thank you, Michael. And thank you, Rodney, too. Have a good one, everyone. Rodney, Rodney,
Yes.
Rodney. I don't have to worry about you making your cappuccino because you're sitting at the desk. So I know you
Yeah, I
dead.
know. Yeah, I'm sitting, being mad as hell. I gotta go back to like crappy Starbucks coffee and I'm over it.
You so stupid. Stop.
It is. I can't even support my local coffee shops because I gotta deal with Starbucks.
Oh, you used to be a Starbucks fan. Get out of here.
Yeah, because I couldn't do my coffee at home.
Oh yeah, I guess not. Can you put your video on in here?
Yeah.
Okay, do it. Let me see you. I don't see
You
you.
you missed this?
Wait. I don't see you.
You don't see me? I see me.
No.
I see me.
That's because you see your damn self. Oh, wait a minute. There you are, Rodney. I must have had the thing minimized. Did they have on their camera?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, I was just trying to see what my desk looked like behind you. They probably
Don't wor-
did.
don't worry, it's still there waiting for you.
Not if I can help it.
I know that's right.
Where your lovely boss at?
Who knows? Don't care.
Oh, she ain't been out and about? She
Not
been
really.
out of her office?
Not really.
She over us too. She is not getting the vibe.
That's fine. That's fine. Sorry. Like I
She,
said, next thing you know, I'm gonna have them put in a one way so they can only walk this way.
oh, yeah. All
Yeah.
right, well, I guess I'll talk to you later. Oh, I gotta splice the tape now too. I forgot.
It's gonna pop up though on the WebEx, right?
For me, it will, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because like I said, when she did it last time and I went to go check, it wasn't there. So I don't know. I don't know what you do differently.
I don't do anything. I was signed in as DPS events.
Okay, I could have sworn she did, or maybe she didn't. I don't know.
Stop this recorder. That's what I should have done.